Welcome to the oasis.state podcast, a podcast where we peel back the layers of life's mysteries, decode the cosmic dance, and embrace the technicolor tapestry of our existence. I'm Zoe, your guide through the twists and turns of this wild journey we call life. If you've ever felt like you don't quite fit into society's mold, well, you've found the right place. Join me as we dive deep into the pool of existence, exploring the WTF moments that make life simultaneously confusing and exhilarating. From soul-expanding experiences to heart-wrenching healing journeys, we'll shine the light on all of it, and I'll share how we can alchemize these moments into pure magic and transformation. Consider this podcast your safe haven, your home away from home, where you can let your freak flag fly and embrace the full spectrum of who you are. So are you ready to join me on this soul-expanding adventure? Buckle up, my friends. Let's make some magic together.
Guys, I have to tell you this thing I was just talking to Zoe about. It's about how I raise my frequency. I was kind of describing to Zoe that, for example, I would read one of Eckhart Tolle's books or listen to one of his audiobooks or whatever. And he, if you're not sure who he is, he wrote The Power of Now, and he's just this like wonderful, beautiful human being who is so incredibly aligned with the universe and beautifully well balanced and grounding. Just listening to him is one of the most calming things you can do. He just resonates at unconditional love, right? And he has this profound effect on people just by like experiencing him in literally any way. Like his actual energy is the medicine that so many people need. And that's true for all of us, right? He's not the only one. He's not special. He's so special because look at him go, wow, he's amazing. I love him. I wish that I could speak to him in person. Would be so cool. But we all have this ability. And so what we can do is we can aim to raise our frequency in the direction of the people who we can feel resonate at a frequency that makes us feel so good, right? So if listening to me makes you feel so good, then by listening to me and setting the intention to have your frequency be similar to my frequency, then you will inherently raise your frequency just by having that goal and just by experiencing me. And there are people in your life who you have this effect on, right? And it just keeps going. So what I do is I'll read or listen to Eckhart Tolle's book. And when I'm listening to it, I'm embodying his energy. So I don't need to, when I'm listening to it, I'm not listening to it from the sense that he's a teacher and he's teaching Esther something in this moment and like, I'm Esther. I go into like universal consciousness and I understand what I'm hearing from him or reading in his book from the perspective as if I was him. It's like I was in his body kind of thing. And seeing it from his perspective, like through his eyes. Like that's how I learn from people. I do this with literally everyone. But I do this intentionally to raise my frequency in the direction I want it to go. So then once I've gone and like felt his frequency and seen the world through his eyes and felt that in my body, I then have that memory of that energy in my body, right? Like I've become aware of that frequency and I'm like, yeah, sweet. I can call this up again. So then in my everyday life, in any situation that I'm having, like whether I'm on the phone to a friend or hanging out with someone or interacting with someone down the street or just dealing with my own thoughts, my own state of being, my own existence, all of that, I practice vibrating at the frequency that I felt when I was reading his book or listening to his audiobook. I remember that feeling in my body and I recall the feeling in my body of what I felt when I was listening to him. And then I do it so often, like I just do it again and again and again and again and again until it becomes habit. And then I don't have to think about it. And that's when I've arrived at that frequency. So it's not that I'm like walking around in my everyday life thinking of Eckhart Tolle like 24/7. It's like he is the example, but not necessarily the anchor for the situation. Once I've felt that energy in his body, I was able to go, this is a really clear frequency of unconditional love. Like we're all vibrating in unconditional love. But his was a very clear frequency of it that I could feel, because among the sea of the world, a frequency like that stands out because it feels so incredibly deeply healing. So I remember the feeling as unconditional love, right? So it's not like I've got Eckhart Tolle's face in my head. Although if you do need to use the person as the anchor, by all means, whatever helps you remember to do this, that could actually be a really fucking smart way to do it, is use the person as an anchor that you remember who had the frequency. But you'd want to just, for the most part, kind of recognize the frequency for what it is. It's not necessarily that person, right? You can have that frequency too. It's the frequency of unconditional love. And so if you remember that, it's okay, cool. I know how to vibrate closer or more clearly in alignment with this frequency. So it's we vibrate at the frequency of unconditional love, but then there's all this distortion around us, which is the veil of, separation, thinking that we're better than people or less than people or whatever. And then what we're really doing is kind of just, as we tune our vibration, we start to harmonize more with the frequency of unconditional love, which is what we're made of. So it's the distortion starts to go away. Little bit by little bit, we start to harmonize and become very clear and coherent with our vibration, which is unconditional love. So anyway, so I'm sitting here with Zoe. She doesn't actually know that she's about to be on the podcast. She's just painting next to me. And we were talking, I didn't even tell her I was going to record an app. I was like, hang on, can you just pause the music? And then so Zoe was like, this sounds like you're doing, what was it?
The RAS system, the reticular activating system.
Cool.
Can you tell everyone about it?
Puts her paintbrush down.
Cracks my knuckles, here we go. Don't come at me if I'm paraphrasing this wrong, but what I know about the RAS system, so the reticular activating system, is an awareness filter in our brain. So I think it falls under the neuroscience umbrella. And basically because at all times we are taking in so much stimuli, so through all 5 senses as well, and then thoughts and, sounds and conversations and everything. So it is literally just too physically overwhelming to be a human without this RAS system, the filter system. So your RAS system finds patterns and finds trends in what you're thinking about. So your thoughts and your beliefs are feeding into the RAS system, and that's, fucking with the filter of what is coming into your awareness, because, like I said, not everything can come through. So, so if you start focusing on gratitude, then your RAS system will be okay, cool. We'll rather than bring everything in, we'll just bring in things that she can be more grateful for. Or if you're vibrating on the energy of resistance, or you're complaining a lot, or you're in fear, you're just going to be shown situations that filter through the RAS system at that same frequency, So with Esther embodying Eckhart's energy when she's reading the book, getting familiar with that energy and then taking that on just day to day when she's in Coles and sitting here in front of the painting and stuff, that I think that's her RAS system, her sort of adding a new program into her RAS system. And this is that frequency of Eckhart Tolle's, which is just an expression of unconditional love. So you remember that. So I think it's your RAS system.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool that you were doing it without even realising.
Oh, yeah, that was the fun part.
Oh, my God, I'm a science miracle.
Gold stars.
Neuroscience miracle.
We were saying.
Legit. Look up the RAS system, because I think that's what Esther's doing. And we all need to do it. We all need to be on the frequency of unconditional love in our RAS system.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Slay. Okay, cool. That's it. Spiritual awakening done. That's all you need to do. Okay, so Zoe and I were just having this conversation about how it feels like we're limping to the finish line of the massive jumps that we've been in life at the moment. And we've been talking about, literally she was doing a commando crawl on the floor, just this is what it feels like for me. And I was dragging my leg behind me, hopping through the living room, this is what it feels like for me. And then we turn it into this whole analogy. Can you just take over from here?
Yeah. What were we talking about, we're like, life's a race, but not like in a fast way. You know, it's like a marathon. But we were just talking about what it looks like, sort of the analogy in our mind's eye when we're helping each other out. So when we're on our journeys and like Esther's having a really good this week, and then the rest of us are like, what the fuck is going on? So in the equivalent of the race, she was like almost at the finish line. She's turned around, she's like, fuck. And we've like fallen over. So you've come back to get us. And it's like,
because in this race, like there's no winner unless we all win, right? So I'm like turning around, I'm like, where are they?
Yeah. And we've got like the twisted ankle, and then we've like got our arm over our shoulder, and we're like limping to the finish line together. But it's like not always like everyone's sort of like at the front, the back, or the middle, someone's tripped over. Yeah. Like the whole race is just like organised chaos.
Yeah. And then Zoe was also like, it's like we've got blindfolds on our eyes and we're holding an egg and a spoon as well, and we're trying to like find our way and not drop the egg, and we can't see. So we're in just like trust and surrender. And then when your friend is going through something and they need your help, their egg drops to the floor and that's what you hear. And then you turn around and you're like on your hands and knees touching the floor, just like, I can hear you. And your friend's like, I'm over here. Marco,
it's like, and it's just this fun, it's the equivalent of like being at a kid's birthday party. Yes. And you're literally blindfolded with the egg and the spoon, and the parents are trying to get the kids to get to the finish line, and we're like, it's just fucking chaos, but like in the most lighthearted way.
And then someone gets to the end of the finish line and then they pull the blindfold off and they're like, hey guys, I can see where to go, and everyone else is still blindfolded for a few minutes, and then they're like left, right, straight, you're warmer, closer now.
Essentially we're all learning the same lessons but in really different ways. Like that's the theme that's been going on this week. We've all been like falling apart but like in different like areas, but it's still the same fucking lesson.
It is.
So that's what it's like when you get to the finish line, take the blindfold off, you turn around like, guys, I learned the lesson. Here's the steps. Jump over the rock, go left, do a quarter turn, and then you'll be at the finish line. And we're like, I'm coming.
And then like, it made me think of how that's what we do in our podcasts for you guys listening, right? And like what you would do as well for me. So when you drop into my DMs and you're like, hey, okay, so there was this chick who dropped into my DMs. I fucking love her so much for this. She messaged me and was like, you talk a lot in your podcast episodes about all kinds of different creativity and how it can help people. And you talk about painting a lot and writing and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, you never talk about music. Why don't you talk about music? And she was like, I have a really strong feeling that you're meant to be doing something with music. And I was like, I couldn't have fucking screamed louder in my life. Like I am so excited to learn more about music. I keep asking literally anyone around me who knows anything about music to impart any wisdom that they can. And so it was just a really beautiful thing. And she dropped in and like kind of, it felt to me like the universe gave her a megaphone and yelled into my face the exact thing that I needed to hear while I had my blindfold on and I'm holding my egg, you know what I mean? Yeah. To get to the place that in my mind is like such a fucking fun place to be, where I'm pumping out tracks.
Yeah, and your finish line that you're going on. We're like always going to heaps of different finish lines, you know? Yeah.
Multi-dimensional.
Yeah, literally. But that finish line has like a DJ booth at it or like, you know, whatever. And that's that expression of you. So yeah, it's not just in friendship groups. It's like you said, reading a book or listening to podcasts or whatever. And essentially it is all to some degree the same message, but it needs to be heard from like different frequencies, different voices, different perspectives, different experiences. And this is maybe just a big analogy about how this whole thing can't be done alone. Like you're not doing the egg and spoon race by yourself.
Exactly. And that's why we're so fucking compelled to turn around and like give our wisdom to everyone else who will listen as well. Right? Because it's like even wider
than
our...
I figured it out.
Yeah.
It's way easier than you think.
Yeah.
It's also really uncomfortable.
Yeah. And it's like, that's it. Anyone who's ever been through this journey turns around and has to fucking yell it at someone in a loving way. And like give that direction or that whatever, because we're all in it together.
That's it, because you just think of those past versions and you're like, how do I make this so much faster and easier for someone else? We're always just writing these like roadmaps and raps and instruction manuals of like how to get to the end of your egg and spoon race. But like I said, there's multiple spoon races and we're doing them our whole lives. But life is really just like a video game in that way, you know. We're sort of at like the analogies are merging into one now. So we're sort of like we were in a 400-meter baton race and then we're at a kids party and then it's a video game. But basically the theme is that it's a game, like and maybe having that lighthearted perspective towards this whole journey, because like I said, we've really, really been in it this week. Like Esther's been holding my hand and a lot of our friends' hands through this. And it doesn't feel very fun and light. And then Esther and I were just here painting and then went on this like funny little tangent about like, oh yeah, we're commando rolling out of our lessons right now. And then it turned into this whole fun thing. So I think it's like really important to just fucking have a giggle about the journey, because if you don't laugh, you'll cry. But you're going to cry anyway, but then you should laugh after.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Also, I just had a little reflection when you were saying that. Like I put myself back into the perspective when I was in the kitchen last night cooking, and Zoe's over here at the canvas painting, and my phone, I was like on my own like personal talk show. Like I had 6 different friends sending me voice messages, and I was rocking like 4 different conversations at once. And I had like so many phone calls with people that day as well, and friends in tears, and like everyone's kind of in it. Like my poppy was also crying, and I was just reflecting there that, because this is the period of time where like I've got the wisdom or the groundedness. I've been through these things that my friends are going through so many times already myself, that I understand where they're at. And so that's why they're probably drawn into my frequency right now as well. Like, you know, they could be calling other people who know more about situations, but I feel very comfortable around these energies. And so having a bunch of people come in my direction with a lot of heavy, massive move, like moving mountains inside themselves energetically, and not have that affect my energy. I have been floating around like a fucking fairy, right? Dancing around the house like I'm so excited every 5 minutes.
She was meditating with the tree today, and I'm like crying, sitting at the side of my van, like having a full experience. I don't know what it was, like a full fucking ego death. I don't know. Today was so fucking emotionally uncomfortable, and she's just meditating next to a tree, and I was like, is this exactly how it's meant to be right now? There was like no qualms with the situation at all, but just for a snapshot of where the energies have been this week.
Literally, so funny. So anyway, like I was reflecting on that momentarily, being like, wow, that's so slay. I love that. And then also wanted to mention it because it's like, you know, so many of you listening can be this person for the people in your life as well, right? So it's like, we don't need to let other people's energy change our energy. We can stay in a frequency of love and of flow and acceptance of the situation around us, and not actually just let our energy flow into theirs. And if you think about it in this beautiful, loving way, it's like that means you can hold space for your friends and be completely fine and maintain your energy. But if you also think about it in the context of like when you go to work and you don't like being there, or you have to be maybe at school or wherever, and you're in a situation where you're around people that you don't really like the energy of, practice what I'm doing at the moment in that area as well. Like practice that ability to hold your energy and your frequency and just emanate that much unconditional love and acceptance of everything that your friends are going through and everything, and just try your best to not let it, you know, not let your energy meld into the energy going on around you, because everyone else, like everyone in the world is going through so much right now.
Yeah.
So many people. So it's like your friends might be going through something one minute, you might be going through something. Because, you know, like last week when I launched Theta was like one of the fucking most hectic days of my entire life. Not stressful, just so sad. I was transmuting so much self-worth stuff that day. It was so heavy. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So, you know, we all have our days where we're strong and able to hold space, but I couldn't have held space for everyone that day.
No.
Right? Like my energy just wasn't in the place for that, because
And I hope
was
that we were holding space for you. Like
Yeah.
you know,
For the most part, I hermited away, but not because, not out of like.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't because I didn't want everyone's love. Like I did respond to some messages, but for the most part, I just needed to be in my own zone and sit with it and just fully feel it all and stuff.
Yeah. Can I offer like a visualization or an analogy for what Esther was talking about with like just being able to be in other people's energy and not absorbing it? When you were saying that, what was coming through for me was like just it's like getting that practice of being energetically hygienic, you know, and it's like still having that empathy for people but not taking it on board, which I think a lot of like emotionally sensitive people, and especially women as well, like we just, you know, are so much more tapped into the spiritual world, so that's like picking up all these other things. So when you were saying that of like I can walk around and not get affected by people, I was imagining like if you wanted to try this is like imagining a lotus, like a beautiful lotus flower on the top of your head, and before you leave the house for the day. So like if you're gonna go to work or something like that, the beautiful lotus flower is sitting on your head, it's wide and open, but actually doing a visualization where you're slowly and softly closing that lotus on the top of your head for the day. And that's that sort of intention setting that you're sort of just like locking yourself in your nice little not protective, that's the wrong word, but you know what I mean? Like sort of containing that energy and not making it leaky and not being too much of a sponge. So just by like having that mind's eye picture of like that lotus just softly closing over, it's sort of like setting that intention of like only love and above will emanate in and out of this little bubble for the rest of the day, especially if you're in workplaces or environments where they don't feel super comfortable or they're overstimulating. You can sort of just set this little intention of like only love and above today.
Beautiful.
Yeah, because intention's where the power's at.
It really is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, that's really beautiful.
I don't know. It's been a wild week.
Yeah, I hope you're okay.
Legit.
People are moving some heavy stuff.
Yeah.
But like for the better, right? Like when you move a mountain energetically inside yourself, the thing that comes after that is space. And what happens when there is a vacuum? The universe fills it with information, energy, inspiration, opportunities, the things that you have been calling in that you are now an energetic match for because you've moved everything out of the way and allowed yourself to vibrate at the frequency that you were heading into. So cool.
Yeah, and I suppose that's a reminder that it's only a temporary experience. Like I said, I've been having such an uncomfortable week, and it's when you're really fucking in it, it's when you're trying to tell yourself that it's only temporary, you're just like, oh, like it doesn't feel authentic, but it really, really is. And then you create that space, and like you said, nature arbors a vacuum, and then it's not just going to be filled with more like trauma or lessons or whatever. It eventually like pivots, and then you get inspiration and creativity and rest and just peace, like inner fucking peace.
So nice.
That's what we're all going to work towards.
We have it.
We have it, yeah.
You were laying on the floor, eating a mango, looking at some beautiful painting you've been doing, and then just started giggling because you've got so many options of units flying at you and life's good.
Yeah, I was like laughing. I was like, I was being a bit dramatic, wasn't I? Look at that. It all fucking worked out.
The universe is like, oh, yeah. Told you it would.
Yeah, tells us 2 days ago that. Fuck. But hey, we're just here for the messy human experience. Like, I'm not criticizing myself, but yes, I am living proof today that it's like the space is filled with just glee and lightness, and I feel like a fairy again. I feel like safe enough to be a fairy again. Nice. Back in my feminine as well. That's really important. Like, totally. I think we're in such a wild time in the collective right now that you instantly go into that masculine and want to get into that protective mode. And that's what I've intuitively been feeling is like I feel so contracted just in fear and doubt and all this density. But once you can transmute that, I was just in this expansive energy, like laying down, looking at the painting, and I just was filled with glee. Yeah. It just all of the joy.
That's beautiful.
Came flooding back.
That's really nice.
Yay.
Oh, that is so lovely.
Yeah. So that's the aim of the game. Yeah. And there is a light at the end of the tunnel for anyone else who's fucking in it. We had a full moon this week, and we had some Pluto going into Aquarius. Don't quote me on all this, but like I know in the astrology world,
shit's popping off.
Yeah, shit's fucked right now.
Things are flying around and changing, which is amazing. Obviously, I'm a big fan. All right, well, we're going to leave you there. Love you so much. Keep your chins up. Lots of exciting things are happening too. So yes, some of you are probably going to be like, holy fuck, this resonates. I've been going through it. But then also on the other side of that coin, equally amazing opportunities have been flying in for all of us and incredible things have been happening. So, you know, buckle up, big smiles, get through it. Love you.
Love you, bye.
Love you, bye.
Hey, beautiful soul. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Oasis.state podcast. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to share it with a friend. It means the world to me knowing that everyone who needs this medicine and magic can lovingly receive it. Also, I'd love to hear from you, so feel free to reach out via social media, my website, or email. Can't wait to connect, and until then, sending you heaps of love.